I'm here, Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I'm a Deputy Mayor. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order for protective in emergency services. I welcome everyone. November 28th at 12 noon. We call the meeting to order. Approval of the agenda. Moved by Your Worship Mayor Brown, second by Councillor Norman Beck. Any of the conflicts of interest? None. See none. Deputy Mayor? Yeah, that's it, Deputy Mayor.
None.
Thank you. Approval of the previous minutes, October 24th, 2023. Moved by Mayor Brown, second by Councillor Beck. Any business arising from those minutes? See none. Thank you. Okay, reports. We have Epic Electric Scooters. We've got Taff here, I believe, and he's the owner of the company. And we're going to give him a few minutes for safety features they want to bring on. Corporal Dale Johnson's supposed to be here, but I got a text from him this morning. He's homesick. So, and you've been dealing with Dale Johnson, I believe, Taff, and so maybe.
Sorry, can you just clarify the name again?
Would you like to say your name, Taff? Because I'll probably ruin it.
Yes, so my full name is Tafadzwa, and people just call me Taff.
Taft, yeah,
Yes.
Norm. Okay. And I think he has a slide presentation, do you? So we'll wait till he'll present that, and then when that's done, if we have any issues or any concerns or questions, we can go ahead with them. Is that okay with everybody? Yes, sir. Okay, Taft, the floor is yours. Thank you. Oh, you have to hit your red button when you speak. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so as I mentioned, my name is Taff, and I'm the founder and CEO of Epic Electric Scooters. So Epic Electric Scooters, what we do shared e-scooter rentals in Charlottetown and Summerside. Our mission is we aim to provide economical, environmentally friendly, convenient transportation options for both residents and visitors. Our goal is to play a role in speeding up the shift from the traditional combustion-based travel to electric modes, thereby supporting Prince Edward Island in achieving its target of reaching net zero emissions by 2040. Now, the way it works with our services is people download our app. It's called Epic Electric Scooters. They can download it on their iPhones or Androids. After they download, they go and scan a QR code on a scooter. So each and every scooter have a unique QR code. After they scan it, they're good to go. So benefits of having these services in Charlottetown is, as I mentioned before, net zero acceleration, also address the climate change mitigation, providing affordable transport, carbon neutral adoption, and also the last mile connectivity. I want to emphasize on the last mile connectivity. So shared e-scooters efficiently bridge the gap between public transportation hubs and final destination, enhancing overall transit accessibility and creating a seamlessly integrating mobility experience. So this is an analysis. Let's say somebody wants to travel from Royalty Crossing Mall to City Hall, where we are right now. The distance is 3.9 kilometers. And as you can see at the bottom, the percentage difference, if you want to compare the bus service, taxi or rideshare service, and also our service, you could see that the travel time, if you try to use the bus, people can save about 40%. The only negative part about our services is that it's more expensive than the bus system. However, looking at other benefits like saving on time and also the carbon emission. So, an overview of our 2023 season. We started our season on May 1st, 2023, and we concluded it on October 29. We wanted to conclude on October 31st, but due to the weather, the snow kind of came early, so we had to shut down early for the safety of our riders. The total number of scooters we had were ranging between 35 to 40. Now, the reason why there is a range is because sometimes we take scooters off the streets to do some maintenance, but we always make sure there's always 35 scooters on the streets and a maximum of 40. The concentration area was downtown Charlottetown. Total number of trips were 19,983, with the total users of 12,537 and an average distance of 3.1 kilometers. So the service ratings overview, 9,894 partook in the survey, and approval ratings were 90%, which means 8,905 riders liked the service. Safety challenges first. So, as you mentioned, we're in contact with Charlottetown Police Department, particularly Constable Dale Johnston, and he gave us some concerns that he had, that the Charlottetown Police had, and also the City Council. The first concern was helmets, followed by nighttime visibility, not following kick scooter regulation, higher traffic acts such as sidewalk riding, impaired operators, and underage riders. We did an extensive work of introducing safety features. The app is our forefront of people renting the scooters. It's similar to someone having a front store. They have to make sure they give the person helmets. They have to make sure they ID verify. So for us, with our aim of trying to make the service convenient and also affordable, that's the reason why we have the app, for it to act as a storefront. So the first feature we introduced was the helmet delivery system. So it consists of the app where people would unlock the helmet using the Epic Electric Scooters app. The system also have a lock mechanism where people can lock and unlock the helmet and also return the helmet after use. I'm going to do a short demonstration video of how it works. So as you can see in the video, the person was able to unlock the helmet using the app and was able to track the helmet from the lock mechanism. So the issues that we are addressing here is we are providing what we call on-demand access. So riders can easily unlock the helmet through the app, ensure immediate access when needed. Availability assurance. Last year in 2022, we faced an issue where we're putting the helmets next to the scooter and people would steal them or they'll just get lost. It also promotes responsibility. It encourages users to return helmet after use and fostering a culture of responsible riding. And also it enhances the security measure. So it utilizes the technology for secure helmet locking and unlocking, ensuring safety and equipment reliability. The next feature I'm going to present is the atmosphere lights and turn signal. Now, all of the scooters have illumination on the stern, as you can see in the photo. So those lights glow green when the scooter is not being rented. They glow blue when the scooter is on a ride. They glow red when the scooter is not available for rent. A scooter cannot be available for rent for various reasons, such as if it detects a malfunction within it, then it's telling the users that it's not available for rent. And then we have the flashing red. Flashing red means this e-scooter is braking or somebody is, the rider is turning. We also have turning signals on these scooters so that they can be a communication intentions to other road users. The issues we are addressing here, as I mentioned before, we are providing the scooter status, also visibility enhancement, especially at night, also enhancing the communication of how people want to signal their turns. Another feature is the pre-ride information. So as you can see in the picture here, there's a list of information that we give to riders each and every time before they start using the scooters. So the issues we are addressing is safety awareness, regulatory compliance, and also ensuring user empowerment. Another feature, and we call this our flagship feature, is the Safe Ride, also known as the reaction test. It's a feature designed to assess if the user is fit to use the e-scooter. It's a measure where the user reaction time, which is taken through a quick test, is to determine if they are impaired or not. If a user failed the test, they will be temporarily logged out of our services for 8 hours. And I'm going to play a demonstration video. Issues we are addressing here is impaired riding prevention. This feature helps prevent individuals who are not in a suitable condition to ride, such as those that are under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And also, it also promotes responsible usage of our services. The fifth feature we introduce is ID verification. So ID verification program is integrated into our app, and it's a security measures that requires users to verify their identity during the registration process. The primary purpose of this feature is to ensure that users accessing our app are of eligible age, specifically 16 years and older. I'm going to play a demonstration video. So as you have seen in the video, so what happened here is users would need to upload their driver's license, their passports, or any form of government issued IDs. They have to take a selfie. When they take a selfie, the program will now match to see if the ID and the person who took the selfie are the same. Another advantage of this program is it also authenticates IDs. It makes sure that the IDs, they are fake or they are real. Issues addressed here is age compliance to ensure that the person is at least 16 years and older, user responsibility, and also community standards, supporting the establishment of community standards by setting clear expectation for user eligibility and responsible use of the app. For 2024 season, we have some proactive measures we are working on. As the mayor mentioned, he wants us to have no sidewalk riding stickers on e-scooters. He showed us a picture of how other jurisdictions are doing it, and we're gonna implement it for 2024. The key messaging here is for clear communication, not just for our users, but also people who have personal scooters and also maybe future renting companies. And then we are going to be doing a maximum fleet size. So the recommendation is one e-scooter for every 500 residents. Considering the small geographic area and usage patterns observed in similar jurisdictions, the ratio aligns with the identified demographic of users, primarily those aged between 16 to 35 years of old. And also the population increases in summertime. According to the 2021 census data indicating a population of approximately 40,000 residents in Charlottetown. Now, the reasoning for this is the demographic alignment. The recommended ratio is based on observed usage patterns. Also, that Charlottetown is a very small geographic area, and also we're basing on the population-based scaling. Now, as I mentioned, in Charlottetown, we have 40,000 residents, so that means the maximum fleet size we can do is 80 scooters. In order for us to manage 80 scooters, we're going to be introducing a fleet optimization tool. The way it works is it gives us operation efficiency and also try to avoid oversaturation of specific areas. For example, if we have 80 scooters, we cannot have 80 scooters just concentrated in downtown. There's a need of distribution between uptown and downtown. And another benefit is for preventing oversaturation is also help mitigate safety concern and minimize potential e-scooter hazards. Now, on August 1st, we Charlottetown Police initiated a curfew on us. We're supposed to shut down our services 10 p.m. every day. With this curfew, we have seen a decrease in number of rides by 60%. In comparison with Summerside, where there's no curfew in place, we see a positive trend of 10% increase. The impact of the 10 p.m. curfew on us has an impact on the transportation and also downtown foot traffic. With the curfew, it gives limited transportation options. If you're considering the public transport, that it ends every day at 10:30 p.m. If our services are shut down at 10 p.m. every day, then a resident will be left with no affordable transportation means after 10. Also, decreased foot traffic. The curfew coupled with limited availability of public transport contributes to the decline in foot traffic downtown during the evening hours. Also, there are some economical implications, community accessibility, broader business impact, also economic opportunities, community engagement, and also with the curfew, we need to see the balance of safety and economic activity. Our objective in the curfew proposal is to optimize service availability for users, accommodate the unique dynamics of different days of weeks, and foster positive engagement with our ridership. We propose a service hours adjustment that operates 24 hours from Sunday to Thursday, and closing time at 11:30 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. The reason for closing at 11:30 p.m. on Friday and Saturday is that we recognize the vibrant bar scene in downtown, which would only encourage impaired riding. That's it for my presentation. I will attend to questions.
Thank you very much, staff. It was very interesting and enlightening. Any questions, folks, or are we good? Councillor Beck, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. TAFCOM and A little late to this game with being this my first year. It started before I was on council, so I don't have that background how we got here. But one thing I have noted through the course of time is I've certainly appreciated your responsiveness to working with suggestions that come from either Constable Johnson or City Police or council recommendations. So and I think of where it started and where it is right now. I've certainly been impressed by your willingness to, I guess, find solutions to issues that do arise. So I think that's important. I think the concept is great. I've witnessed families driving around on them. Of course, the safety side of me gets worried when I'd see, kids going around or adults going around without helmets, and so I know that has been something that has been looked at. So, again, I do appreciate all the work that you've been doing in terms of trying to address the safety piece. I guess I just had one question. I know everything is kind of all in the app. If I wanted to use my own helmet, can I still access all the functionality of everything else? And because I know part of unlocking the whole thing is unlocking the helmet. If I have my own helmet, can I still use everything and go through that whole process, or do I have to use everything that's attached to the scooter?
So you can use your own helmet. The reason why being is some people are not comfortable using our helmets, so we give them that option of using their helmets. The whole point of us having the helmet delivery system is to ensure that there is a helmet
Yeah,
between each and every ride.
yeah.
If a person does not return a helmet, the scooter automatically goes into maintenance mode. It will tell us, and then we go there, and then we will put a new helmet and then try to find out what happened. Now, like I said about the atmospheric lights, it will tell riders that this scooter is not available to rent just because there is a maintenance mode that has been activated.
Okay. And the other question, I know you had the rider readiness test and stuff like that. What sort of, are you able to detect the number of times that you were able to prevent someone from getting on who was not, or is there, in terms of the effectiveness, I think it's a great tool to have. I'm glad to see it there. But are you able to determine the effectiveness of that in terms of preventing people who may have attempted to access the scooters who were unfit to do so?
Yes, I can make those numbers available to you. It's just it's going to take us time to retrieve all that data, but we do know that there's a number of people who have been blocked from using the services.
Yeah, it'd be good to know. Thank you for that.
Your worship, you okay?
Yeah. Can I just ask a couple?
Yes, you can, sir. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, thank you for bringing this issue to us. I know that you were chair of economic development when we brought this in, but I know, TAF, in other municipalities, and I'm referring to the Municipal World, which is a magazine that councillors and staff get, June of 2023. We didn't do a pilot project. We went right into it, where a lot of other municipalities have 2, 3, 5-year pilot projects. So we dove right into it, and we're learning as we go along the way. But I can say, Mr. Chair, TAP, and as Councillor Beck stated, that he's been very willing to pivot and accommodate where we're coming from as a council, police. It's all the boxes are being checked off because you're doing a lot of work and a successful business because of your hard work. Because I've seen you some nights with your van picking up your e-scooters at 11 o'clock at night. So you're committed to your initiative. But some of the data that's in this article, it's love them or hate them, e-scooters are on the way. As you know, in Europe, a lot of cities, as you know, Paris have made a decision to eliminate e-scooters on Paris streets by September of this year. I know the voter turnout wasn't great, but the decision was made by Paris. I'll be watching how that goes in trying to implement banning of e-scooters. But jurisdictions like Calgary, where they have, if I look at the numbers here, between 2019 and 2023, over 1.3 million trips. So
The
there is-
system has detected that a few lines are
Okay, we
still
have to wait
connected to the conference and will attempt to disconnect them. If you wish to remain in the conference, please press star 1. 15.
Yeah, and they have lots of data, and I think maybe we should be looking at that data from Calgary. Some of the concerns, persons with disabilities, especially persons with disabilities with hearing, sight, mobility, or walking on sidewalks, crossing streets. Those issues are being monitored very closely, and I think that's that goes back to the conversation I had with you about some municipalities are requiring that stickers be placed on the e-scooters to say, please do not go on sidewalks. But I think we have to do more than that. And it says here that in the city of Edmonton, they've been working closely with vendors like yourself.
The system has detected that a few lines are still connected to the conference and will attempt to disconnect them. If you wish to remain in the conference, please press star 1. 14.
Are you still there, Deputy Mayor? I guess I gotta turn on microphone. Are you still there, Deputy Mayor? Alana?
I guess she's not there.
No, okay, we won't worry about it.
So I'm going to be following up on this, staff, to look at some of the other jurisdictions, on especially the ones I've mentioned here, Calgary and Edmonton, just to get that data. And they are still working through pilot programs, but we're into it now. And I thank you for everything that you provided here today. But if I look at the number of scooters you have for this past year, what was your number, your total number? I don't know if I missed it or not. What do you have in the roads now?
So we were ranging between 35 to 40 scooters, and our concentration area was downtown.
Right.
And then for next year,
Looking
we
at
want
80.
we're looking at 80, and that's the maximum that Charlottetown can handle, and that's coming from big companies that recommended the 1 to 500 scooters per population ratio. So, like I mentioned before, we also want to implement the fleet optimization. So fleet optimization 2 also have various features, like it will tell us if a scooter is parked outside a parking zone. If a scooter is parked outside parking zone, there's higher chance that that scooter is not parked properly. So it gives us a task to go and collect that scooter and put it back in a parking zone. And also it's going to make sure that it's gonna make sure that there's a certain number of scooters in a specific geographic area, and our plan is to maintain 40 scooters downtown and 40 scooters uptown.
Right. And Mr. Chair, in Hamilton, again, referring to the Municipal World article in June 2023, they have speed limits, 24 kilometers. Speed technology used for the Hamilton pilot, however, only allows them up to 20 kilometers. What's your speed, your max speed on your e-scooters?
So the Highway Traffic Act only allows us to be at maximum 24 kilometers an hour. With these scooters, we can also adjust the speed as required. We have put in what we call slow speed zone in high pedestrian areas like Queen Street. And also, we've been doing like proactive approaches as per recommendation with Constable Dale Johnson, whereby, let's say there's a farmer's market on Queen Street on Sundays, we put it as a no-go area. So anyone who attempts to go in that zone, the scooter will prompt that user that they're in a red zone and they need to look for other ways to navigate their way. And also, I mentioned the slow speed zones.
Yeah. And, Mr. Chair, just to close here, I'm very much a promoter of helmets, not only for cycling, but e-bikes. Scooters are no different than a moped or a motorcycle. We have to enforce the helmet issue. There are times I've been driving in around town during the summer evenings. You see the operators without helmets. At 24 kilometers, you hit the pavement or hit a sidewalk head first, it's a lot of damage. And I think that we have to really push that. Not only, and again, TAP, I appreciate that every suggestion we made through City Hall, you've been following up on them. We just have to keep pressing that, the whole safety issue, because it's so important to not only the safety of the users, but to the community. And as for the persons with disabilities, the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act Alliance label e-scooters as a silent menace. And I think you're turning that around by working closely with our police services and municipal government to make it safer and, again, contributing to a smaller carbon footprint by going e-scooter. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you,
I have
Taff,
a
for your
question.
presentation, and we will,
I have
Oh.
a question.
okay, Deputy Mayor, we tried to get hold of you earlier. Go ahead.
No, I kept saying I was there, but I don't think anyone heard me.
No.
Anywho, so I have just a couple of questions. One, have you been working with Resource Abilities on dealing with the whole accessibility concerns that the mayor had also brought up? And the other thing, can you remind me again, why do we need to have these scooters past 10 o'clock? I missed, it was shutting out during the report, so I didn't hear your justification for extending the hours after 10. And by the way, thank you for your report.
For working with the resource and accessibility is something that we can definitely look into for our 2024 season. And then pertaining to the curfew, the reason, and this is something that came from the users, they were saying that there's an issue whereby the bus service ends at 10:30, and some people would want to go to downtown or Superstore or anyone else. So we are asking for the service to operate 24 hours from Sunday to Thursday, and then close down at 11:30 p.m. on Friday and Saturdays. The reason why we'll be closing down at 11:30 p.m. on Friday and Saturday is because of the bar scene. We don't want to encourage impaired riding.
So, Mr. Chair, could I ask, the curfew, I think, came from police services, or did it come from this committee?
I believe Dale.
Could we get just some rationale or explanation?
go
Mr. Chief Connell?
Sure, Chair, and just let me start by saying that Taff, he's certainly a remarkable young man who's been very responsible in his approach to his entrepreneurship here in Charlottetown, and that was obvious right from the start. And we've worked with him, certainly to deal with the unintended consequences of his initiative, because there has been many concerns raised to us over that time. And, to his credit, he has, as the mayor put it, pivoted and adjusted. But one of our biggest concerns is obviously the impaired use of the scooters, especially in summertime. And, it's an unfortunate reality that it's just not in, that use doesn't just start after the bars. It's in the evening. We have, high population density here over the summer months, and people partaking in alcohol at all times of the evening and day during our summer months. And we rely on feedback from citizens and complaints, and obviously observations from our own officers, and provide that information through discussion to TAF. Our community policing section has been with Constable Dale Johnson, the point of that. And it felt best for that this recommendation be put forward about the 10 o'clock curfew in the interest of public safety. to prevent certainly what I think was a very concerning issue with people driving intoxicated. And the last thing we want to be doing is, because I don't think there's enough education, there's not enough education around the use of e-scooters and the fact that it is a criminal offense to drive it while impaired. I think it's a shared responsibility from police services and municipalities that are engaging these initiatives and the operators themselves to raise the awareness. But I don't, through our discussions with youth, I don't think they're fully informed or aware of how and much trouble they can get in by the use of these scooters while impaired. And so as we continue to work with TAF and other businesses to raise awareness, we felt that this was a responsible approach to the situation with the curfew.
Okay, Taff, we'll take all the information, and you'll still be working with Constable Dale Johnson and then we'll be discussing this at further dates too, because it won't be going through the winter, so we have a few months to work on this and see what we can tweak and which we can't tweak, and the biggest thing is the sidewalk thing in my mind too, if there's a flashing sign on it. Okay, Councillor Beck?
So with the request, where does that go from here? Does that get into our traffic bylaw? Does that, do we have to, we would have to pass a resolution to amend our traffic bylaw? How would that work? I'm sorry. It's a pretty, it's quite a departure from what the current rules are. So how do we, if we are to incorporate that, how does that get incorporated?
Chief?
Yeah, I think there's some data that we have to look at, Chair and councillors, to make a better decision. I think, we continue on the path with TAF, working with our community policing section who look after traffic management. And we asked them, it's unfortunate Constable Johnson wasn't here today because he's probably, the have more relevant or timely information about what the recommendation should be. But at some point, I think there's a recommendation that has to come back here to committee for our consideration. We've certainly heard from TAF today, but I think we need to hear from our teams also.
Sorry, hear from who, Chief?
Our team at the,
Yes, yeah, okay. No, I'm good with that.
So there will be something coming back to us in the coming months. And again, just to keep in mind that the issue of speed, 24 kilometers to 20 kilometers, is what other jurisdictions are looking at. And, I don't want to go where it states here in Paris in 2022, there were 3 deaths and over 460 e-scooter related injuries in Paris. I know we're not the same size, but, reduce that to where our population is. I think there's what the chief's trying to prevent. And TAF, I believe you're more than willing to work with Constable Dale Johnson and the chief and police service. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you again, Taff, for your time. And as I said, we'll take all the information and we'll be working with Corporal Dale Johnson and you and seeing what we can tweak and move on. Thank you again.
Yeah, perfect. And thank you for giving us this time to present what we're
Not a
doing.
problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. What do we got here now? Let's go to operation reports. Deputy Fire Chief Kent Mitchell. If you don't mind.
Thanks, Your Worship, Chair. This report is from October 19th to November 20th. During this time period, total fire inspections were 6, general inspections were 4, inspections with hazard compliance orders 2. There were 8 fire investigations during this time period with 3 education sessions. Total emergency responses were 108, District 1 48, and Engine 1 with 23. District 2 had 35 responses, and there were 2 fire inspector callouts. This fall's training schedule is coming to a close in December with work on winter and spring sessions progressing. Wrapping this training period are medical first responder courses as well as chainsaw safety courses. The fire department was excited to participate in this year's Christmas parade. We'd like to thank all the firefighters who participated in this event. We're excited to have concluded this volunteer firefighter recruitment campaign this year with 11 candidates beginning PEI firefighter school training beginning in January of next year, as well as in-house department training, which began mid-November this year, so it started in the last couple of weeks. We have also completed our fire inspector competition. We'd like to announce that Mr. Robert Stavert is a successful candidate. Robert started his role yesterday, November 27th. Robert brings knowledge such as building construction, building codes, as well as knowledge of the construction and permitting processes learned through his time with the Charlottetown Planning Department, and we know that Robert will be a valuable asset to the city as a fire inspector. Congratulations, Robert. We're also happy to inform the committee that Spencer Waite has currently returned on easeback in the fire prevention role. We wish Spencer success in this role and know he will be successful in doing so. In addition, retired Fire Prevention Officer Cindy McFadgen has returned on a contract basis and will assist Spencer as well as provide support in areas such as emergency management. Thank you, Chair. That's our operational report.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Any questions? Councillor Beck, you good? Deputy Mayor, you have any questions on the fire?
No, I'm good, thank you.
I have one question. Was there a gentleman in the CU last week about West Rowley, about 11 cars or something that he took pictures into you, I believe Thursday or Friday? I don't want to name the address or anything like that, but he phoned me because, and it's Councillor McKinnon's ward, and I talked to him last night, but he didn't know anything about it, but I guess they got a hold of me because they see my name on the website.
Chair, there was somebody in, but I believe it was in the Parkdale area, complaint with that type of complaint. I'll have to check the file.
Yeah, he said that he brought some pictures into, I think there's about 10 or 11 cars in this one house. He's just wondering, it's been going on for 2 years, and I talked to our bylaw officer, and he said that's under fire inspector's role, so I guess I just sort of following up on it, and maybe we'll chat after with the address. Is that okay? Chief, you good? No, you're good?
No, definitely, Chair, and that's a fire and planning issue when it
Right.
comes down to it once we get inside, but we'll definitely follow up.
Okay. I just said that I would bring it up there and see what's going on. Okay. Where are we at here now? Okay, police. Brad McConnell, Police Chief Brad McConnell, funds for new constable positions. Chief, would you like to take that?
Thank you, Chair. I have a report in your package. I'll read the report details, but it's in relation to the hiring of 6 new constables. On October 24th, 2023, Mayor Brown put a notice of motion on the floor of the Protective Service Committee to hire 6 additional police officers. The committee supported the notice of motion to have the Finance Committee put a resolution forward to Council. This request was prompted by the reality that in our modern community, the needs and expectations of our police services grow by the day. Homelessness, mental health, and addictions are just a few of the complex issues facing our community. A comparative analysis of police versus population ratio was completed, and it was determined that Charlottetown is currently 29 police officers short of the regional average, which is outlined in Annex A. Rapid population growth, increased tourism, the use of technology and crimes has further added to the CPS workload, with calls of service increasing by 7,500 in the last 3 years alone. Historically, our police services relied on summer casual, part-time police officers to offset summer population growth. The seasonal hiring also allowed us to compensate for staff summer vacation schedule. These casual and part-time positions were cost-effective, and prior to 2022, we had always been able to attract people to those positions that were looking to gain policing experience while search of full-time employment. In the past year, seasonal hiring ranged from 8 to 20 officers, of 8 to 20 seasonal hirings of police officers. However, many things have changed, and we no longer are able to attract suitable and qualified police candidates for short-term employment. Some of these challenges include, but are not limited to, a reduction in the number of cadets graduating from the Atlantic Police Academy, police services across the country competing for a limited number of qualified candidates, cost and availability of short-term housing in our area, and increased Provincial Police Act standards with applicants must meet. It should be noted that these barriers are not as challenging when attracting officers for full-time employment, as Charlottetown is a desired place to live and work. In the absence of availability of seasonal police officers, we must create new positions to ensure staffing levels do not reach critical levels that will compromise public safety. Further, we must prevent officer burnout and disillusionment. Although hiring of 6 officers will not fully compensate for our current shortage, they would go a long way to preventing the aforementioned. Furthermore, it's unlikely we will attract quality candidates if we do not have a competitive starting salary. This is especially true in attracting experienced officers from other departments. The cost of hiring 6 full-time officers, first class, not including benefits, from January 2024 to March 2024 is estimated at $161,230. I would further estimate another $10,000 per officer for uniforms and equipment would be required. The total budget dollars required in this fiscal are estimated to be $221,230. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that report.
Any questions? Councillor Beck.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chief. I guess I have 2 questions. When we, on page, we're talking, I think it's on page 9 on our file. It was, I have to readjust my page here, give me a sec. I thought originally, you said there at the comparative analysis, it was determined that Charlottetown is currently 29 police officers short of regional average. I thought that we were always talking that we were 10. Or has there been a change in
So we
calculations?
were using those
or
analysis based on previous population data. But when we looked at the most recent released, we made this further realization. So the previous data available was 2019, I believe.
Okay,
And
so we're looking at probably 145,000 maybe back around that time? Now we're looking at like 175?
yeah, close, about 180,000 growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense then. All right. I guess the other question I have, I think we've heard pretty loud and clear, there's a need for more officers. So I don't think anyone is debating that. I guess just a pragmatic question. Can we get 6 boots in the ground by January 1st? Is that a reasonable thing for us to expect? I mean, we would have to look, we're in our pre-budget consultation for 2024 and whatnot, and we'd have to look at that long term. But just realistically, can we get, not that it really impacts should we or shouldn't we, just I guess a general question, is it realistic that we could get 6 uniformed officers ready to go by January and have them go until March 2024?
I do believe it's possible, Councillor Beck. Certainly, we're in partnership with our HR department to have these positions posted, and there's certain background and checks that, from applicants that we have to screen them properly to make sure that they meet a lot of standards. But we certainly think it is possible. But again, there's it is a competitive police market out there currently, with a lot of agencies offering some pretty good incentives to attract. And but Charlottetown's strength is, and PEI strength is our quality of life, and
Yeah.
and so combined with good starting wages and the benefit of living in such a great place, we think we do have an advantage to attract.
And so would these would be permanent hires that would be, we would be guaranteeing them permanent employment going past March 2024?
That is correct.
Yep. Okay. And again, there was always, I know at previous meetings, there was always questions asked about, are we 2 additional officers? Are we 4 additional officers? Is there funding coming from the province? Because I know some of this was mixed in, clumped in with the rezoning applications that were put forth,
Well,
that sort of thing.
I can tell you, we certainly are trying to work with the province to certainly raise the awareness that a lot of the issues that we're dealing with are provincial in scope, and have decisions that governments before and now have put an increased onus on our capital city to have require additional policing. So we make no mistake about reminding them when we have the opportunities, and we currently do have 5 sponsored positions from the province that they are paying for. However, it's obviously that is term funding, and we must be cognizant of that because that could expire.
Sure.
And then that's 5 additional officers that we would have to look at consuming into our long-term fiscal budget. But it's there's certainly those conversations are happening, and I think they need to happen, because I think we are, as I had said in my presentation the other day, faced with a lot of unique challenges being the capital city.
Yep. Thanks, Chief.
Deputy Mayor, do you have any questions for police?
Just a clarification. Thank you, Chair. So this is a recommendation for 6 brand new boots on the ground police officers, excluding the 5 or 6, because it's very confusing of how many we got from the province. This has nothing to do with the provincial funding and the folks that we have hired under that program. This is 6 brand new. Is that correct?
Chief?
That is my understanding, Councillor, and Your Worship, I'm just looking for the broad understanding if that is your understanding too, that is certainly my understanding.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just to follow up, so obviously the 221,000 for this fiscal, we need a commitment from council as well that for our ongoing budget after this year, so that you're not just hiring officers for 3 months. Is that correct?
Well, certainly, as our budget process, we work on a kind of a status quo kind of budget. So once they're into our budget, that would become, our starting point moving forward in the next budget. So, the ongoing costs would be reflected in our year ends and plus the go forward.
Okay, thank you. And just one more thing then, as we go forward with our budget for 2023-24, for heaven's sakes, if you need more than 6, now's the time as the next budget starts to make sure that council's aware of anything additional past the 6 as well. But I totally support the staff's recommendation for these 6 officers.
Yes, and I agree 100% with you, because we all heard in the last 6 months or a year, we need more police officers from everyone in this council chamber. So what I got a feeling was everyone is behind that issue. So let's hope that we can move it on budget time. And I know it's going to cost the city, but at the same time, it's not going to cost the city because we're going to have more boots in the ground.
Yeah.
Your Worship.
Mr. Chair, just to follow up what the Deputy Mayor said about, the cost. So we're looking at the last quarter. That's the last quarter of fiscal year 23, 24. And that's 222,000. So then if you look at the next fiscal year, you times that by 4 because there are 4 quarters. So that goes 4 times 222. So you're looking at an additional 900,000 added onto the police budget, police services budget for next 24, 25. Is that correct? Through the chair to the chief of police?
That would be correct, Worship. That's certainly a good estimate of it, and certainly that would be on the salary and benefits line for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And chair, again, through you to the chief, in the KPMG report that our CAO likes to refer to at times, I think the recommendation was additional 12 officers, correct?
I think it was the 10.
Okay, 10. So again, we keep talking about the province and what their responsibility is. Well, the province's responsibility is when they collect taxes in the municipality of Charlottetown, they keep a certain portion. Again, this is a structural governance inequity between our taxing and what they're taxing. So we have to get a bigger share because if you look at the tax credit rates and components, what makes up those components? Street maintenance, police, development control, and there are other areas that should be added to that. That's why, Mr. Chair, when we go into negotiations with the province on the tax equity, that tax inequity between the city of Charlottetown and the province, this is what we have to put on the table. It's not they're subsidizing our police force, it's our subsidizing or adding to our police force budget through a better tax arrangement with the province, because we can't keep going like this. I know some in the province will say, well, just raise your own municipal tax. No, there are 2 taxes being collected when we collect property taxes. One municipal, one provincial, and then we get a certain amount back from that for the services that we provide. But those services are costing more, and this last quarter for 23-24 will be 222,000, but for the 24-25 year budget year, it's going to be 900,000. And then we have to look at fire services. They're into arbitration. We don't know where that's going. So I keep reminding not only myself, but all of us here in the City Hall of Charlottetown, we have a big issue with the structural governance issue of tax inequity between what the province has collected and what they're giving back to us through a grant. We need a bigger share of that because the services that we're providing are not keeping up with the demands of our community. Whether it's the unhoused, whether it's the increase in tourism during the summer months, we are being taxed to the max. We need to move that bar up so that we can provide better services in the critical services that we provide: fire, police, public works, water, wastewater, parks, recreation, economic development, tourism, festival events. So, Mr. Chair, I'm supporting this, and if you need a resolution, I'll be glad to move it so we can move it up to finance and get the funding in place. And Mr. Chair, I think you were at the September 5th meeting at Birchwood, where it was repeatedly asked that we need more police presence. This is about police presence by putting boots in the ground and also giving that sense of security that we are here, that the city police are here to serve and protect. Thank you.
Yes, and on that, you're exactly right, Your Worship, and I agree with every item you brought up. And we have to start looking after our officers also too, with, as the chief stated earlier, we're burnout. Some takes holidays. Everyone, deserves their holidays. If someone happens to be sick or someone's away in training and stuff like that, we got to have the officers around, like, to fill those slots. And we're hoping that this is a start, Chief, and we're all behind it. So do we need a resolution to move this on to finance?
Chair, I just have one more comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor.
That's okay. Thank you, Chair. Just to build on what His Worship said, it's, as a municipality, we've been slowly being expected to more and more handle responsibilities that are like they're just beyond our reach and legal responsibility. So I think, to build on what His Worship said, that continued conversation with the province of PEI to increase that tax base, as well as look at where the responsibility lies within the province to also help support maybe even additional needs under protective services, as well as Parks and Rec and Public Works. So thank you.
We get less than 50% of the total property tax collected in this city.
Yes.
Between residential, commercial, and industrial. Less
Yeah.
than 50%.
Yeah.
So do we need a resolution to pass this on to finance, Eleanor?
Your resolution is the recommendation, and that is you're recommending the council to approve it,
Okay.
and then the chief will go to the finance committee and present there, and we also need a second recommendation from them to approve it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I'll recommend.
and second by Councillor Beck.
Yep.
Thank
And
you, Your Worship.
with the resolution on the floor, Mr. Chair, again, when I was first elected here in 2000, I believe that the share from the provincial grant to the city of Charlottetown was 67 cents per dollar collected. Now it's 59 cents. So we've lost that leverage, and we have to regain it, whether it's more than 67 or more than 67. I think the issue that we're having, all the issues that we're having here on mental health, drug addiction, misuse of alcohol, unemployment, and the biggest being housing, the housing crisis. We need more funding to support the services that we consider our services: police, fire, public works, parks and recreation, and the others, water and wastewater utility. So I think we have to press this point with the province that we're not getting a fair share.
Okay. Very good. Chief, you okay with all this?
I am certainly okay with it. And just if I could just add some clarity for those who may not understand how we got so far behind. I think this struggle started in 1995 when the city amalgamated. And there was a recommendation at that time, after a comprehensive review, to hire 32 new officers. At the time, we 18. I was one of them. And it was felt at the time that the rest could be compensated for through seasonal hirings. And for decades it was. But those seasonal hirings are no longer available. And so that reality has caught up to us. And so I just wanted to find some clarity how it has gotten to where it is.
Thank you for that, Chief. Okay. Let's move on to D. Oh, yeah, we voted to move it on. But the mayor moved it, and you seconded it. Okay. We're asking for a vote. Deputy Mayor, you in favor?
In favor.
Okay. She's passed 3-0. Thank you very much, folks. Is that it for that one? Okay. D, traffic bylaw amendment. Chief.
Thank you, Chair. This recommendation for proposed amendment to the traffic bylaw, I think actually, I'll certainly read it here, but I think it actually should be a recommendation from our committee to go to Public Works. And the report purpose is to have an amendment made to the traffic bylaw to prohibit parking in designated bike lanes. Also have signage indicating no parking in bike lane placed to deter individuals from parking in the bike lanes. The staff recommendation is to amend the traffic bylaw, section 11.9, and add the clause within a designated bike lane signage place and signage place in areas where there has been vehicles parked in the bike lane to indicate no parking. So an addition to the bylaw, but also a signing recommendation that we're looking forward to be forwarded to Public Works, who looks after this type of part of the signage and allocation, or the allocation of parking.
Any questions on that? Deputy Mayor, I'll go to you first since we don't see you. Are you still there, Deputy
I'm
Mayor?
good. I'm good, and definitely in support of this change to the traffic bylaw.
Thank you. Councillor Beck?
Yeah, I think it's very important. In fact, I heard from residents when I was campaigning. I know we're referencing Oak Drive and Kensington Road. I also heard it Goodwill Avenue, Nassau, parts around, and I didn't have an answer for them, so I didn't know. Now I do.
Yeah, okay.
The one thing I would like to, I guess there's a couple things that, I know we have a new active transportation person starting January? Is it January? The new person starting the active transportation person?
Yeah.
Yeah, Anna Keenan, I believe. So I'd like to see us, I don't see any kind of demarcation of what is a bike lane. Like I know we got the silhouette bikes and stuff like that, but I really hope we can start to move to a little bit more of a defined, people know that it is a bike lane, and I don't know how that, I guess I've seen various ways that could be done. And I know this is going to be moved on to Public Works, and I would encourage maybe a discussion of that nature with Public Works and also with their new person who's going to be beginning in, because there's a very strong, we are conscious of climate change. I know there's been dabblings of active transportation. How do we get there? I think demarcation or like delineating what is actually a bike lane and what's it used for, as opposed to a token bike symbol. So I would like to see us moving more towards some of that as well too, and that might be part of the conversation moving forward. But I certainly support that part. There's one other thing that I know we're inserting Section H in various parts of the bylaw under Section 11.9, and then down further, there was the fines, and I'm trying to find the page on which it's located. And it seemed that there was a very, here we go. It's on page 38. And, page 39, Schedule B. And it seems everything is $50 and $100. And one of the things that kind of jumped out at me was disabled parking is parking in a disabled zone, which I see a lot of around town. Quite honestly, I guess people are just too lazy to not park in a different spot, but I see a lot of able-bodied people parking, and I guess I'm just wondering if there's, where parking too close to an intersection is given the same treatment as taking a disabled parking zone. I don't know I don't see those as being the same thing. And we're talking about working with resource abilities and, prioritizing designated zones for those who require assistance. And I don't know, it just might be something we might look at. It just kind of jumped out at me when I was looking at that schedule. Yeah, I don't see them as the same thing. And according to our schedule here, we say they are the same level of severity, for lack of a better word. But I think as a level of discouragement, I'd like to see that maybe we change that around. And I never really thought of it until I just happened to look at the schedule there, and it kind of jumped out at me. But might be something we may want to consider. Maybe take that back to Melissa. I know Melissa's been doing a lot of work on this particular file. Maybe it's a discussion for a later point. But, I think it's important that we do what we can to support those who require access to parking spots that are in close proximity, that they be available to them. So, anyway, just a thought, just something that jumped out at me.
Chief, maybe those two items that Councillor Beck brought up, one is the signage and all that, if you're talking to Public Works over that, and then the other one with the fines and see what, well, the variation is in that, and if you can go a higher fine in the disability parking. I don't know if that could be a bylaw change or what's going on, but you're the brains of the outfit, so maybe you can look at that.
Yes, Chair, I made note of both of those, and we'll review those.
Sure. And just an item of discussion.
Yeah.
Just one other question, Chief. Schedule D, it talked about the truck routes, city-controlled roadways. I noticed on North River Road, it says trucks from Capitol Drive to the Walmart entrance. Is that to indicate the trucks are not to go past that Walmart where that lights intersection is there into Walmart? Are trucks not to go further south of Walmart?
That's correct, Councillor. Those would be defined trucking routes, again, those have evolved over the years as our city has grown, and I haven't viewed the most recent one recently as it falls under Public Works, but I can certainly make note of that, but that would be my understanding, and it is my understanding that is the route.
Yeah. And I know I've had discussions with Dale, but North River Road is an issue. And it has been the south of Walmart entrance, and even down as far as, McGill Avenue to Brighton Road. It's an element of concern for residents in that area, and I've heard from residents who have concerns about that. And I didn't know that it extended that far north, and so. And I know it involves the trucking, and I know that there are sometimes you do have to go down for designated purposes, whatever.
The system has detected that a few lines are still connected to the conference and will attempt to disconnect them. If you wish to remain in the conference, please press star 1. 15.
Yeah. Anyway, just to wrap it up, just to keep that front of mind, and that will probably have to be an ongoing reminder, whatever it might be, with the appropriate parties. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair,
Duly noted, Councillor Beck.
just to follow up with Councillor Beck, going northbound on North River Road, the bike lane disappears. And I think the North River Road master plan will address that issue, which I think will be just in time to align with what we're proposing here. But if I go to page 12, Mr. Chair, just through the chair to the chief, and it was noted by Councillor Beck, we're only noting Bike Lane or Oak Drive and Kensington Road. Are we going to have a similar schedule that we have on page 31, where we list all weather highways and we list designated highways? Like, are we going to have a table for bike lanes? Or what's, again, Mr. Chair, just through you to the police chief, if I can, maybe that's something that'll be discussed at the Public Works Standing Committee.
Go ahead.
Yes, Your Worship, I just want to comment. I just want to stay in my lane a little bit, and
No pun intended.
Yeah,
No pun intended.
Unintended, but this is certainly a public safety recommendation, and our staff will follow up with Public Works, I think, who will, certainly be the ones that would need to amend the bylaw. But I think this is going to generate discussion.
Oh, yeah,
And
it will.
for sure. And I guess we'll just stay tuned. But I certainly I can make sure that this committee stays up to date on progress if there's an interest in doing that.
And Mr. Chair, if I can just wind up here, I think these proposed changes are very important. I know that Councillor Beck and his wife have e-bikes like I do, and I know that. Still traditional. No, you got e-bikes. I heard it. It's in the neighborhood that you
Okay, don't hold
bought
them
two
up,
e-bikes.
Councillor.
That's what I heard, but I'm not going to let that out. Well, I did, yeah. But Mr. Chair, they are cyclists. Like
Yes.
I do get out as much as I can. There are areas where this can align with Public Works that in the springtime, it's very difficult to use those bike lanes, bicycle lanes, because of sand and debris left over from the winter months. So there's a lot going forward, and I think with again, Councillor Beck referenced Anna Keenan, I think she's going to move this agenda, this issue further towards more availability of bike lanes and looking at building more to attract people and residents and citizens to reduce your carbon footprint, get on your e-bike, get on your traditional bike, and get out there and participate. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, I imagine the chief, like his notepad must be full about now, but anyway. We're going to move on. Is that it for that one? Deputy Mayor, you okay? Maybe
I'm
not.
good.
Oh, thank you. Okay, E is the dangerous, hazardous, and unsightly properties. There's a resolution going to be moved on. Oh, did we have to do anything about the bylaw, Eleanor? I apologize.
Yes, we need to send it to council.
So we're looking for a resolution to go to council?
Moved.
Moved by Mayor Brown, seconded by Councillor Beck. That it moved,
That council amend the bylaw. That's what the resolution is, that council.
it doesn't go to Public Works and the council, but it just, okay,
The public works just for signage, but it's
Right.
council who's going to amend the bylaw.
okay, that, we're moving it on to council. Thank you. Chief, dangerous, hazardous, and unsightly properties. Oh, vote again. All right, Deputy,
In favor.
3-0.
In favor.
Time to go home, I've been here too long. Chief, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. There's one resolution in your package. It reads that the staff recommends the council authorize Public Works Manager to take the necessary steps to clean up the addresses in the attached resolution at the owner's expense. The properties requiring cleanup are a combination of first-time and repeat offenders. 27 Hutchinson Court, PID 584821. 27 Summer Street, PID 547810. And 51 Bayfield Street, PID 361162.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Moved by Councillor Beck, second by your worship. Vote. 3-0.
In favor.
Thank you. I think that was it. I got, Chief, if you don't mind, I got a few questions. Councillor Drown brought up, and we said that we'd take it back to our committee at our last council meeting, about the BC thing and all that, and you were going to check into it. I'd like to have it on record that we did discuss that. And maybe there could be something in our package for next month saying how the process works.
Clarify that. I didn't hear that.
I'm trying to, go ahead, Chief.
Chair, so I think, Your Worship, Councillors, what the Chair is correct. At the last committee meeting, there was a request from Councillor Duran and regarding recent legislation that was enacted in BC to deal with street-level drugs and wanting a further follow-up about the possibilities of some provincial legislation being enacted here. And there was also conversation. No.
No.
It's about the enforcement, provincial laws that give policing additional powers to enforce certain types of drug offenses in certain areas. Certainly the commitment was made to do that follow-up, but there was also, because I've kind of packaged them together there was also a request to follow up on some previous communication from the province and the city regarding safe communities legislation. So when we looked into that, there was some communication or requested communication from the province to communicate with Blair Barber, the legislative specialist for justice and public safety. So we've put in a meeting request with Mr. Barber where we plan on bringing up both of these items for discussion so we can get some clarity to bring back to council. and to see a path forward, because they are both provincial controlled acts.
The
so-
Justice Department and the Council Trio brought up, correct? Is
That's
that the one?
correct,
Yeah, you know, because they both brought up those questions at council, and I said that we will certainly take it back to our committee, and it's in the works right now.
We do not have a meeting date scheduled. The request has been put in, and we'll keep council
Yeah.
and committee updated.
And if we can note that in our package, if we don't meet before that, so then they would have the answers, you know, that we are looking into it, maybe, for our next council meeting. And two other things, I've been asked by residents, and a lot of residents. Tinted what do they call it, tinted windows, like you see more and more of them every day. Is there a legislated, or is there a fine, or do they allowed to be a certain tint, or what's the story with that?
Yeah, there is certain regulations, Chair. I couldn't quote them it's been a while since I've given
No.
out one of those tickets, but yeah, there is regulations regarding that, and if there's, I can have staff share some information with council
Okay.
regarding that, if that's.
No, I've been asked by a lot of residents to see it. And the other one, as you and I discussed a couple of months ago, decals on the side of the cars. And I think you know the ones I'm referring to with the picture of somebody. I don't know if it's legal or not illegal, but this state of the world is right now, like you don't like driving around and seeing some guy with a rifle on the side of his car, like a picture and all that stuff. And I did send a few pictures that my daughter even brought up one time 3 or 4 months ago. She said, "Dad, is this legal to have this?" And you know, with the state of the whole world is right now, like you can push anybody over the top. And I was just wondering if that's legal or not too. I'm just trying to get an answer for some of these people that asked. Thank you.
Yes, Chair, certainly, although very unsettling to some people, not illegal to have that type of energy unless it's motivated for hate or to, you know, but the images that we've seen, we've actually spoke to some of the drivers of the vehicles, trying to get a great understanding and allow them to appreciate how some people don't appreciate that type of visual reminder of some of the issues that are happening in the world. But there's nothing enforceable,
Okay.
you know, based on the imaging that is there, unfortunately.
Thank you for that. So at least I'll have an answer for them. I guess.
Mr. Chair, can I just go back to the first comment that you made regarding a question from this chamber? Could you clarify, is that BC's British Columbia closing down the DELP, the Drug Users Liberation Program? Is that
No, I
where
think
they're just
it's-
going back
It
to?
was in the Guardian, I'm going to say October maybe, or September. And I read the article, and then Councillor Drong read the article, and the chief read the article. And Councillor Drong brought it up, and he's just wondering if it can happen out there. Enforcement, I guess, is what he's looking at. Why can it not happen here? And the chief and I had that discussion. It's got to be legislated to a certain point, I believe, Chief, you mentioned, and you know, and we just told him that we are going to be looking into it.
But what has to be legislated? Could I just go through the chair?
Yes, go right ahead, sir.
Could you just clarify what?
Yeah, so Worship, what they've done in BC is created provincial legislation, another mechanism for police to enforce drug use. And currently, most of our drug laws are federally regulated and federally prosecuted. And so there was, BC had made a move and did enact a bill to give police another mechanism to issue fines for certain types of, much like illegal possession of alcohol and things like that.
So, Chief, if I go back to the September 5th, again, through the chair to the Chief, September 5th meeting, Community Police Action meeting that was held at Birchwood Junior High School, one of the slides that you put up was Drug Prosecution Challenge, Public Prosecution Service of Canada, Service de Poursuite Pénale de Canada. In August 2020, the Public Prosecution Service of Canada issued a directive asking federal lawyers to avoid prosecuting simple drug possession cases unless there are major, I don't know how you define major, public safety concerns, and to pursue only the most serious cases. Is that the BC?
Your Worship, that is the current situation, and we've met with the prosecutors, so the agents for the federal crown locally here regarding that, and certainly have expressed the community pulse in response to that decision. But this is a whole new act provincially that the province of BC enacted out there to give police powers to enforce.
But is there a reference to the drug prosecution challenge that you presented there at the September 5th meeting, that the federal prosecutors are saying, don't send this stuff to us because unless it's a major public health major public safety concern, or that and to pursue only the major serious case? Is that what the provincial legislation is countering or substituting? I'm just trying to get a clear.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm fully able to speak to that aspect of it, but the whole approach from the federal side is the harm reduction model, and that their mindset regarding that messaging is about treatment alternatives to avoid criminalizing individuals for simple possession, to try to, all of these things should be tried before people are put into the court system, I think is from the harm reduction lens.
So I'm just clarifying, Mr. Chair. So you will be reaching out to BC, British Columbia, to get a clarification of the act that they put in place to either offset this public prosecution service issue, or the focus of the federal government through Health Canada looking at harm reduction instead of just trying to jail our way out of this issue. Is that my?
Well, we thought the logical first step was to see if the provinces have this on their mind also, and to see if there's been any research from the Department of Justice regarding this issue as it is evolving across the country. So before we got too far down a pathway, we wanted to know, what is this on the province's mind? Has there been some research? Is there any conversation? Is there any appetite for this type of? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the city of Charlottetown has to indicate, do we have an appetite for it? To make that request.
I think this is part of one of the meetings we're trying to set up, isn't it, Chief? Like, those are the questions?
Well, I think it's no secret to anyone the impact it's having on Charlottetown and the issues it's having on policing, and certainly we'll make our concerns noted in the meeting. But I think in fairness to and giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, I think this is a logical first step in the issue.
Chief, I have a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So and again, I'm not familiar what's happening in BC, but have they developed a provincial statute that runs contrary to the Criminal Code of Canada and that is uniquely applicable to BC? And are we looking, is that allowable? Can you develop statutes that do not align with the Criminal Code of Canada and create your own sort of thing? Is that kind of, again, I'm asking this out of ignorance because I don't fully understand it, but is it what they're proposed or have proposed, and again, I don't know what's taken place there, but are they trying to implement something that goes against what's outlined in the Criminal Code of Canada, or is it in alignment with the Criminal Code of Canada?
Well,
or is that the sort of clarity that you're seeking?
Against. So I think, there is a lot of examples across the country of provinces and jurisdictions creating their own laws regarding situations. Even there's municipalities that have certain bylaws against types of activity. There is that ability to do that.
Okay.
Certainly, I think we have to be responsible in our approach to make sure that we're, making recommendations and you know, that are certainly in the best interest of our community, but also that we're not setting, you know, setting opposite sides of an issue, that we're working against services. And so I think there's, you know, you know, a conversation to be had there, but, you know, a lot of this, again, falls on the province to provide guidance and.
So that clarity,
we can
what
provide
we would be looking to do would come through those discussions with the province, and that would become a little clearer at that time.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
I appreciate that you're allowing this discussion to go on, because I brought this up, if it was not on Friday, Saturday, last night. There is Bill 37, okay? And that amended the Controlled Drugs and Substance Act. So what the chief is talking about, this amendment to Bill 37 is to better equip both health and law enforcement officials to reduce the harms associated with drug and substance use in Canada. That's, I think, and that's the fallout of what the federal prosecution has. If it's not a major crime, if it's not a major drug issue, we're not going to address it in the courts. So, again, what Councillor Beck referred to is that there is the Criminal Code of Canada, okay? And that's what this Controlled Drugs and Substance Act falls under, or is part of. And again, I think there's conflict of information out there with the federal responsibility, the provincial responsibility, and as the chief has said, there are municipalities that are putting in bylaws to look at this issue also. So, you know, it's a difficult time, but difficult time requires, you know, a lot more discussion and discussion that is responsible, rational, and we have to be part of that discussion going forward. So I think that, you know, more information from the province of British Columbia or other municipalities that have taken, you know, looked at bylaws that address this issue, we should be looking at that information.
Yeah, and that's what we're planning on, that's what we're hoping to do with more information, as you say, Your Worship, and meeting with the proper parties and things along that line, and maybe we can use as an example, the BC one, Chief, and because, as I said, you and I discussed that when it first came out, and then Councillor Drawn brought it up, and I told him I'd certainly bring it up here. So, okay, thank you for that, everybody. Deputy Mayor, you still there? Don't think so. Okay. A motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Beck. Second by Your Worship. Thank you very much for that. It's been, well, yeah, it's been long. Okay, thank you.